folks, welcome back. We're in the garden today again. Not been down the allotment recently. Need to get down there and have a look and tidy up, but priority at the moment is getting the garden done. Last time we were down at the allotment, we picked all our pumpkins and squashes, so we've got a good fair selection of pumpkins, little baby bear pumpkins, and we've got our Atlantic giant and our spaghetti squashes. So this is one of our greenhouses. This is one I tend to use for growing things in. So at the moment well, there's a few things in here growing, but other than that there's a few onions drying out, pumpkins drying out. Trying a little experiment this year. I'm going to try and overwinter my chilli plants. So these are the chilli plants from this year. They're jalapeno, and we got jalapenos off them. So there's a jalapeno there, one of the last ones we harvested. So I've dug them up out of the greenhouse. These were in another greenhouse. So I've dug them up and I've basically transplanted these ones into pots. I'm going to cut them back a bit more, just to kind of so there's not as much plant there, and just overwinter them in the greenhouse, and hopefully next year when the weather warms up we'll get the plants will start growing again, and we'll get an earlier crop of chilies. So the experiment, not sure it's going to work. You should be able to do it. I've not done it before, so I thought I'd give it a go. Here we have Ria's aubergine plants. Planted these up. These are planted a bit late. They produced one aubergine, so out of, I think there were 5 plants in total originally. Produced one aubergine. They are still going. I don't expect them to produce any more fruit, but they are still going. So again, I'm just going to keep them going over winter and see what happens. If they die off, they die off. If they don't, they don't. We'll see. So this is the greenhouse, and we'll now pop over to the vegetable patch and see what's going on over there. Okay, another little experiment I'm doing this year is I've planted up some vegetables that we would normally be picking around now. Vegetables that tend to carry on growing through the winter. Things like kale, cauliflower and cabbage. We've had a reasonable crop down at the allotment, but they have been attacked by whitefly. So I thought, you know what, I've got packets of seeds, I've got loads and loads of seeds, so I'll just give it a go. Planted some up a few weeks ago in the greenhouse. They've come up, and got some really good looking plants here at the moment. They're actually looking a bit leggy. This is cabbage, a variety called April. So I'm going to pop those in the ground later on. And I also have some cauliflower. This is all the year round variety. They are looking a bit leggy, so I'm not sure they'll do anything. I've left them in the pots a bit too long. I've also got something I've never grown before, some pak choy. Again, I think it's got a bit leggy, but it's an experiment. Theoretically they shouldn't grow because it's now getting too cold. I'll give it a go and see what happens. I mean, if they grow, excellent. If they don't, I've wasted a packet of seeds. It's not too big a deal. It might be that they just overwinter in the ground and start fruiting or providing us with some tasty leaves next year. So that's my experiment. Okay, welcome to the vegetable patch. So I've got an allotment down in the village. As I've said before, we've also got a decent sized vegetable patch in the garden. So I'm going to show you around. It's a bit of a mess at the moment because we're in the process of clearing it out, digging out beds, and just generally getting things tidy for the winter. We've had a lot of rain here over the last few weeks, and things are quite waterlogged. So I'll show you around, I'll show you what I've done, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here's one of our raised beds. In this raised bed, I literally planted out this morning some kale. So over here, I've got Nero de Toscana, which is a Cavallonero type kale, so it's a dark kale. And here we have dwarf green. Now I've multi-sown these into modules. and I've planted them out as is. I haven't separated them out. Again, a bit of an experiment, see what happens. So what I will do is, if they do start to grow, I'll maybe thin out the weaker plants. So hopefully, I mean, they've established themselves quite nicely in the pots. So hopefully we'll get something out of them. Again, if not, and they don't do anything until the spring, that's not a problem. Also in this bed, I've sown my garlic. So I've got garlic bulbs in here, and I've also got some elephant garlic I've planted up this morning. Okay, so I'll show you around the vegetable garden quickly. It's not a lot to it at the moment. As I said earlier, it's a bit of a mess. We're in the process of cutting things back, digging things out, and tidying things up ready for the winter. I'll show you around and show you an area we've got some plans for a bit later on. So we've seen this bed here. I've covered it up with some netting because we do get quite a few pigeons, pheasants and rabbits in the garden. So if I don't cover that up, the kale will disappear. This was our climbing bean bed. We had our climbing beans here. We had a variety called Blauhild. They were a purple climbing bean. They did really well and produced some really nice tasty beans. Also our runner beans. Now these have now gone over. So what I've done, what I'm going to do here, is as you can see, pods have got too big. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them and let them die off, let them dry out. And I'm going to take all the seeds and then give to, if the local school wants to use the seeds to grow runner beans, or my scout group to do some gardening type badges or projects. So that's what's happening here. So they've just left to die off now. I've taken all the stuff out of this bed here and just literally covered it with a layer of manure. So that will just overwinter on the bed, just let the worms come up. I'm not going to dig it in, I'm just going to leave it as is, let it do its thing. We're going to come down here. Maria, what's this bed?
A herb bed.
Yep, so this is the herb bed. So I've been in here recently and cut things back. So we've got some oregano, some chives, some lemon balm, more oregano, some thyme, some sage, an apple tree, a small apple tree, a curry plant, and over on the other end, if we come round here, we can see Ria's fairy garden. Planted up and made as a little project. Okay, so the next bed I'm going to show you is this one here. Again, I've taken out what was in here. What was in here was a crop of not very successful dwarf French beans. Didn't do very well. The rabbits got to them. We had a real problem with rabbits this year. So much so I had to net wire mesh netting all around these two beds to stop the rabbits getting the runner beans, the climbing beans and so on. What I've also got in here is some celery. So I've grown it for the first time this year. Quite pleased with it. Seems to be growing really well. So we've got some really good stems on there. Already used some for cooking. I've taken some in, chopped up and put in the freezer as well. So that's quite a good way of preserving those. And then again, we've got an empty bed here. This bed really needs to be sorted out. The sleepers have been here around 15 years now, and a lot of them are starting to rot. So I'm in the process of sorting this one out to fix it up. I'm going to get some new boards and fix it up. And again, an empty one here, so this is where I'm going to put some of the cauliflower and the pak choy in there. Okay, so this is the other greenhouse. This is one we tend to grow our tomatoes, peppers and cucumbers. Well done. We had quite a few this year, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Lots of tomatoes, lots of cucumbers.
We put all the tomatoes in chutneys.
Yeah, well, not all of them. We ate quite a lot of the tomatoes, didn't we? But we did use a lot of tomatoes for our green tomato chutney and our red tomato and chilli relish, didn't we?
And red and pepper.
Yeah, so we had peppers as well. So everything's been cleared out. I've put a layer of muck, excuse me, a layer of muck on this side. Just going to let that sit over winter, maybe just sort of turn it in a bit. This side I'm going to use to do some planting. Haven't quite decided what I'm going to plant yet, but maybe thinking about maybe some peas, maybe some broad beans, just to see how they work.
And more tomatoes.
More tomatoes, but not until next year. Also, I'm going to leave the chilli plants in there. So I'm going to leave those in there and see how they compare to the ones that are in the pots in the other greenhouse. Okay, this is the top end of the vegetable patch. This was originally, several years ago, was a polytunnel. Unfortunately, the polytunnel, the plastic ripped. So then it got turned into a fruit cage. Then it got overgrown as a fruit cage. So it then got turned into a cut flower bed, which again got overgrown. The plan is here is to turn this area into raised beds. So I'm going to still working out exactly how. This area of bed here will be going, and instead I'll have raised beds down the sides, make it a bit more manageable to extend the vegetable patch we've got there. We've also got an apple tree which has provided apples, but unfortunately the wasps and the hornets have got to them this year, so we've not really had that good a crop. There are still some up there, so I think I'll have to get up with the step ladder later and try and see if I can get a few off. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully next time we'll be down at the allotment and give you an update as to what's going on there. So as I said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.